Okay, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am incredibly excited to explore today's topic with you all. We're going to travel back in time a bit to uncover this fascinating, kind of forgotten concept of how our ancestors didn't just barely survive the brutal freezing months of the year, but actually built a massive, thriving economy out of them. We're looking at the completely ingenious ways people conquered what was known as the dead gap of winter.
To really wrap our heads around this, I want you to picture this scene. It's January. The temperature is like minus 20 degrees Celsius. The wind is just cutting right through your clothes. And yet, instead of hiding inside by a fire, guys are out standing on a frozen lake, swinging these massive 5-foot-long crosscut saws to cut huge 300-pound slabs of ice right from beneath their own feet. One wrong step, and you're plunging into freezing water. But they did it relentlessly. Why? Because this ice was literally known as Patriotic Gold.
And get this, it wasn't just some small-town niche activity. At its peak in the late 19th century, the American ice trade employed roughly 90,000 workers and 25,000 horses. It generated millions of dollars. These workers were quite literally mining winter and then shipping that cold all over the world to places as far away as India and the Caribbean. And remember, this is long before the electric refrigerator even existed. So you're probably wondering, why go to such extreme, dangerous lengths? Well, it all comes down to the dead gap. Before our modern 24/7 year-round economy, there's this brutal 3 to 5 month economic vacuum between the final autumn harvest and the first spring planting. No crops meant zero income. This seasonal gap forced a pretty stark choice upon our ancestors: starvation or sheer ingenuity. And out of that pure, desperate necessity, the winter hustle was born. Section 1. The Big Three Hustles, the heavy lifters of winter survival. Okay, let's dive into this. To bridge that terrifying dead gap, our ancestors developed 18 distinct winter hustles, and we're going to cover all of them today. We'll start with the 3 largest, most physical trades that acted as the absolute heavy lifters of winter survival. Number 1 is, of course, the king of all winter hustles, harvesting ice. Workers had to patiently wait for the ice to get 12 to 18 inches thick. Then they'd literally use horse-drawn plows to score grids into the ice before sawing those 300-pound blocks out by hand. After that, they stored them in these massive insulated ice houses packed with sawdust, which amazingly kept the ice solid right through the blistering heat of summer. Like I said, a grueling but multi-million-dollar global industry. The second major heavy lifter was splitting firewood. I mean, this was literally the currency of winter warmth. Before natural gas pipelines, your average home burned a staggering 15 to 40 cords of wood a year. Think about that volume. A winter hustler would fell trees in the autumn and then spend the freezing winter months splitting and selling bundles in town. This was pretty much guaranteed reliable cash flow because, well, the cold simply doesn't negotiate. People traded firewood directly for food, for medical care, or even blacksmithing services. And the third major hustle is running winter trap lines. Now, this was high-risk, high-reward wilderness work. Why do it in winter? Because animal fur, think mink, beaver, and fox, is actually at its thickest and most luxurious during the freezing months. Trappers would spend incredibly lonesome, dangerous weeks out in the woods. But it paid off. A few prime pelts could equal a whole month's wages. This fed into a massive $60 million national fur network, while also providing families with some very crucial winter protein. Section 2. The Winter Survival Network, chunking the remaining 15 hustles. Let's speed things up a bit and see how this whole network builds, because it definitely wasn't just about ice, wood, and fur. The rest of the community was incredibly busy too, usually with indoor crafts and prep work. Hustle 4, maple shoring. That perfect late winter freeze-thaw cycle allowed farmers to tap liquid gold. Hustle 5, wool spinning. While the farm fields slept outside, families stayed indoors processing summer fleece into warm garments. 6, basket weaving, turning completely dormant winter saplings into vital storage goods. 7, blacksmithing. Winter was actually the peak season to repair broken plows and tools for the coming year. And 8, cooperage, which is crafting the wooden barrels that served as the primary shipping containers of that whole era. They turned idle hands into vital, tradable goods. Now, what's really fascinating to me about this next batch is how they actually used the extreme cold as a strategic asset. Number 9 is tanning. Cold weather naturally slowed bacterial growth, making winter the safest, least smelly time to cure leather. 10, candle and soap making, rendering down the fats from the autumn butchering. 11, snow plowing. Yep, this was an early community-funded gig just to keep local trade routes open. 12. Ice fishing, specifically for the commercial market because the freezing air basically acted as a natural preservative for the catch during transport. And 13. Timber hauling. The frozen ground and packed snow made it incredibly easy to drag massive, heavy logs on sleds without sinking into the awful summer mud. And rounding out our list of 18 are the intellectual and niche services. 14. Charcoal making, a slow-burning winter process that was absolutely vital for the blacksmiths. 15. Textile dyeing, which was suited perfectly to those hot indoor winter hearths. 16. Tool sharpening, a brilliant door-to-door winter service. 17. Winter schooling. Because kids were finally free from exhausting farm labor, young adults could actually earn cash by teaching them. And finally, number 18, seed catalog sales, coordinating bulk community orders to prep for the spring. When you look at it all together, this was a completely vibrant, totally self-sustaining, seasonal economy. Section 3, Pattern Break, the death of seasonal economies. Okay, so here is the big question. If this incredibly diverse, robust system worked so brilliantly to keep communities alive and debt-free through the harshest conditions, why did it completely disappear? Well, convenience systematically engineered the winter economy out of existence. In the 1910s, mechanical refrigerators totally killed the ice trade overnight. By the 1930s, paved roads and municipal snowplows ended winter isolation, meaning you could just, drive to a store. And by the 1950s, mass production, synthetic materials, and the rise of the suburbs centralized labor into year-round indoor factory and office jobs. And I think this brilliantly illustrates the hidden cost of all that convenience. The contrast here is pretty stark. Our ancestors operated a seasonal economy, an incredible 19th century gig economy of survival that was diversified, resilient, and deeply community-based. We ended up trading that for the modern economy, a year-round dependency on a single paycheck that is surprisingly fragile and isolated. Think about it. When an ancestor's crop failed, they had 18 different winter skills to fall back on. When a modern single income fails, often there is no safety net at all. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. We traded the seasonal gap for permanent consistency, but we lost our resilience in the bargain. Our ancestors viewed winter as a conversion center. It was a time to turn raw materials into preserved goods, downtime into preparation, and labor into hard cash. Today, we mostly view winter purely as a cost center. It's just something we have to pay to heat our homes for and somehow endure. Section 4, a modern winter hustle, reclaiming the seasonal gap. But here is where the story gets really inspiring for us today. As we look at data approaching 2026, the concept of the dead gap is quietly making a massive comeback. People are waking up and realizing that relying on just one system is super risky. Currently, 45% of Americans have some kind of side gig going on. We are seeing a massive surge in freelancing, creating digital products, and setting up what we can basically call digital trap lines. Passive income streams like YouTube channels or online courses that you build during your downtime to generate revenue year-round. Artisanal goods and local markets are booming again too. The tools have completely changed. Obviously, we aren't outsawing frozen lakes anymore, but the smartest thing you can do today is build multiple income streams exactly like our ancestors did. Which brings us to the ultimate question to leave you with. What are you going to harvest this winter? Think about your own seasonal rhythms, your own downtime, your own dead gaps. You don't have to brave negative 20-degree weather to build resilience. You just have to start looking at your idle time a little differently. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I really hope this changes how you view the winter months ahead.